Graduation message this evening is presented this year by senior Nader Helmy. Please welcome Nader.
Mr. Deganar, faculty, school board, family, friends, and fellow graduates of the class of 2013. Sup. Here we are, at the moment we've all been working towards, our graduation. In my experience, commencement speeches have always been a cascade of cliches. Which reminds me, has anyone ever figured out what the purpose of an alliteration is? All I know is high school English teachers eat it up. Thanks, Mr. McCluskey. Nonetheless, a commencement speech can't exist without a series of heartfelt, feel-good, trite phrases such as, be yourself and achieve your dreams. But I guess there's a reason for them. As poet George Watsky once said, if stereotypes start with a grain of truth, then cliches begin with a boulder. So, my goal for today is to reach in your hearts and grab life by the horns as we shoot for the moon and land among the stars, because only then will we truly learn to accept ourselves for who we are. In other words, I want to examine a few of these cliches to find the truths that sit at their core, with the hopes that they might help us make sense of this big event. You know, this is weird for me. Usually when I give speeches, I'm competing against a bunch of other really talented speakers from across the country. The good news here is, even if this speech totally tanks, I still win the round. So first, we ought to reflect on the past. In the best book we were ever compulsively forced to read, The Great Gatsby, Leonardo DiCaprio says, can't repeat the past? Why, of course you can. The cliched phrase for this section is, don't dwell in the past. So let's do that now. A lot has happened during the 4 years that we've been here. Osama bin Laden was killed. Egypt was liberated. America re-elected an African-American president. Some very sad things as well. The conclusion of the last Harry Potter movie. The announcement of the second Twilight movie. Both great tragedies. But we've also done a lot ourselves in our time here at Apple Valley. From celebrating our first ever state basketball title, to the incredible support and solidarity we showed for Charlie Scanlon, to the late after-school talks with the coolest man alive, Mr. Jenkins. I mean, what other school would let me rap in front of actual people at Broadway? Have you met me? We've devoted our lives to this school. I've heard some people say that high school is the best 4 years of your life. They shouldn't be. Honestly, if pig dissection, 150 note cards, and making a driver's ed scrapbook that was 90% of your grade are the best 4 years of your life, then there's something seriously wrong with you. That's not to say that we haven't enjoyed it. As a famous man once said, to those of you who received honors, awards, and distinctions, I say well done. And to the C students, I say you too may one day be President of the United States. That was an actual quote from an actual president. America! Which brings us to now, the present. The phrase here is carpe diem, seize the day. Yeah, but sometimes the day is May 1st in Minnesota and it's still snowing. Sometimes the world's unfair. Sometimes we have to learn when to fold our cards and when to make the decision to pursue something else. Right now is one of those moments. I don't know if all of you remember the story from our high school that made national news a few years back. Basically, it was discovered that a former student by the name of Francisco Serrano had been living in the high school for about 3 weeks. He attended classes, showered in the locker rooms, and slept in the theater storage area. He loved it here, and it was the only place he really felt safe. And that I think, is a testament to what this place meant to him and what it means to us. Apple Valley High School is not perfect, but it's where we belong. It's where we feel comfortable and looked after, and it's managed to be there for us when we needed it most. The point is, this place has changed us, but it's time to move forward. So now, I suppose it's time to look to the journey that stands before us. The phrase here is, "The future is in your hands." That's comforting because my parents still treat me like I'm 12, and colleges must think my mother's Oprah because have you seen college tuition? Graduations always feel to me a little too much like endings. People cry, moms mostly, and everyone gets a little too nostalgic for their own good. And that bothers me, because they're not endings, they're beginnings. Moments not to mourn, but to celebrate, for they mark the start of a journey much bigger than we could ever imagine. I think there's something to be said for the fact that we are all sitting here right now in the same exact uniform, equal and together, one last time. It's fitting, because none of us are special. Not now, not yet, but we can be. We have the capacity to achieve great things, and some will. Some of us, frankly, won't. And that's okay, because some will learn to recognize greatness, witness it, promote it, encourage it. And that's the beauty of it all. It's in our power to decide. In life, success, fulfillment, greatness cannot be won or bought. It has to be lived every day. So go on, learn for the sake of learning. Pursue your interests, unless it's a philosophy major. And never, ever settle for good enough. Most of all, be wary of anyone who dares to give you advice, including me. Doubt your instincts and doubt the experts. Seek the truth and never stop until you get it. After all, as the old saying goes, it's better late than never. Really? At the age of 98, George Dawson was sitting in his home when he heard someone at his door. He opened it to find a man leaving a flyer for adult education. George told the man that the flyer wouldn't be of much use to him since he couldn't read. And the young man told him that the flyer was an ad for an adult basic education class, which, among other things, taught reading. So, at the age of 98, after raising 7 children and helping them with their homework, George decided it was time to go back to school. Every morning, he would wake up at 5:30 a.m. to do his homework. And by 9 o'clock, he was ready for another day's lesson. And 2 years later, when President Bill Clinton sent him a letter congratulating him on his 100th birthday, for the first time in his life, George could read. Ladies and gentlemen, it's never too late to better yourself just a little bit, to make a difference, to change a mind. We are not confined to the stereotypes, the predispositions, the archetypes that we, as well as the world, set for us. These are the cliches that become a part of our narrative as a society. Work hard, you can do anything, never give up, be yourself. And as I mentioned earlier, each one of them contains an element of truth. But they become really powerful when we embrace them, personalize them, and make them our own. Because when we finally do that, they become our reminder, our message, our purpose, our truth. My message for you today is to find your cliche, embrace it, and make it your own. So, let me close with one last cliche. It's one of my favorites. Class of 2013, it's been real. Really? Has it been, as opposed to what? Imaginary? So, in an effort to be different, I'll leave you with this. Class of 2013, it's been fake. Fake in the sense that I arrived here looking for a true high school experience. Jocks, bullies, food fights, and ended up with something much more exciting. Thank you to our parents for all of their undying support. Thank you to our friends for the memories and the laughs. Finally, and most importantly, thank you, Chipotle, for your delicious food, of which without, I'm sure, half of our school's population would slowly starve to death. Congratulations, Apple Valley graduates of the class of 2013, on your accomplishments and your character. And remember that life is a blank page, and it's up to us to write the story. Good thing we sharpened our number 2 pencils.